Take two. I sneeze like a crazy person. Welcome back. So this video you're watching was supposed to be look what I got, and then the build transformation, and then the finished product, which is over there. And I kind of backed out of it. Was like, yeah, it's too long. I don't think anybody cares how I build. Yada yada yada. Seinfeld reference. And then here we are a couple days later. I just tweaked something on it, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should redo it to see what happens here. So, oh, got some stuff on my new chair. This sneak peek of the new chair. There's the color. Anyway, so one of my favorite quads that I've had for some time started its life as the Beta 65X Pro or HD or something like that. It was a 65 millimeter traditional looking whoop that had a split cam on it, which was their branded Cadex the Cadex Turtle V2, the micro version or the whoop version. And it was a fun quad, but I, like everything else, modified it. You know, took the canopy off, changed the way it looked. And then it went on to a carbon fiber Tomo Quads frame that I wish I still had, that everybody loved, that you can't get anymore. Turned it into a 75 millimeter Cinewhoop. The tiniest Cinewhoop that was out for its time. I couldn't find anything smaller, and it was great. But the whole pursuit of this was to get HD footage, and it's tough, and it was tough then, because what I have is this. It's a great camera. Nothing negative about it. Love it, and it was on it. But it sacrificed flight time because it was kind of heavy. And it flew. Flight time, like I said, suffered a bit. But I could get the shots that I wanted, and you could feel the weight. It kind of had momentum that it carried, but I worked with it, and after it broke and devastated, can't find anymore, I converted it over to this frame, which was a Beta 85, just traditional whoop frame. Made it a pusher, modified, and it worked good. No complaints at all. Had to really tweak to make a mount for it, so camera wasn't in view, and it was a fun process because you're limited to what you have here, and it worked. But after losing a camera due to a light crash with an airplane, losing my first Insta, it really had me bugged, especially if I was flying in a bando or something like that and it had knocked off, because as secure as it wasn't. It had kind of one screw that was able to get into the frame, into the base of the mount, but I didn't trust it enough with OCD and all that fun jazz that it wouldn't get knocked off, or it wouldn't get twisted, or if I bumped something and it, wonked off to the side or something, that I wouldn't get the shots that I thought I would be getting. So I went and I changed it again. Plus, it gives me something to do in the winter, because I haven't really built/rebuilt anything in some time, especially quad stuff, because I've been messing with the planes and other things. But this is the GEP RC. I think it's the GT20. They call it the go-kart frame. I saw it when it came out, and I really dug it, and then kind of forgot about it. And my brother, fellow C2C member, Budget FPV Builds, he had gotten this frame, and he talked about it. So I was like, hey, where'd you get it? So he sent me a link, and here we go. So it has the beta board that I had to kind of custom soft mount. That's what I was doing today, and make it sort of floating. This frame's cool because it has options in different size holes for different boards. Like the original tiny whoop board, the tiny dinky one, goes here, and then you have holes that you can use on the other side that are bigger. Am I saying that right? No, I think the boards are all the same. I don't know what I'm talking about. It fits a decent sized board, but you can top mount it like I have it, or you can mount it to this plate. So if you needed quick access, you can kind of drop the plate down. I chose to go from the top because originally I was thinking of putting the VTX down here, or the receiver, which the receiver is actually on top. And that was part of the design, is the receiver was already attached to the top with the wires. And I didn't feel like cutting them and splicing them, even though I had to add new wires to that and redo wires for that. I was just like, I'm not doing the receiver. So the receiver sits on top safely, and then is run through a little hole. It's all crooked now, of course. It runs through the hole I made in the frame. It's safe out of the way. It's not going to get hit by the props. I put the VTX back here. Little VTX 03 from Ishin. It hasn't done me wrong. For the price, It's on 200 milliwatts. It goes quite a ways, analog. No problem. I-flight antenna, nothing's changed there. Like I said, I just had to extend wires and redo wires, and I had to modify the holes for the Ratel 2, my favorite micro camera, and pretty much all the guys out there that are doing analog. Great camera. I went with the black around the front, so by accident, if this thing got wiggled enough and got into view, you're going to get black instead of the bright blue or the yellow. I'm going to try some other props on here. These are the props that I've had on it forever. And again, these motors, that's another thing that's changed quite a bit. From the 0802s to I forget what the other motors I had. They're smaller Zing motors, and I put these monsters on here. And they're good. Each frame has its own quirks and funny things you got to deal with, like the resonance of the frame. These props, when they spin, they create a different noise, a hum that's echoing through the frame. So I'm going to try some different props to see if it works with it. I've never been a fan of anything more than 4, but I think it's HQ. I can't remember if they're 5 or 6. I think they're 6, but I'm going to try a different prop with a very mild pitch to it and see how they fly, see if it quiets down. There are pros and cons to that. Yeah, obviously, there's a little bit more ESC pull originally, but once you get it in the air and it's kind of hovering and moving at the same pace, then it's more efficient, and I think it'll help with the weight of this. I have flown it around the basement a bunch of times. I've taken it outside once or twice and tweaking the tune, and that is something else that changes. I've had to work with that tune quite a bit, switching from a 65 millimeter to the 75, now to the 85, then turning it into a pusher. It's kind of, and then the frames, part of all of that, it's just tweaked it enough where you got to go back in and adjust some of the eye gain or some of the filtering. And I got the new Betaflate finally. I decided to be an adult and got one of the newer versions of Betaflate that's got sliders and stuff. So I'm kind of learning about that and the fun of that. I want this thing to be seen. Like every quad, one of my essentials is how can I make it stand out and be really bright. And this thing has, it's like the Millennium Falcon LED, bright green all the way around the whole back. And it illuminates. This thing's super kick-ass. So when you're doing fun chase stuff or flying with other people, it stands out and it helps my spotter. When we need spotting, it's perfect. I haven't flown analog as much since I've gotten my Avata. And that was kind of a running joke, is that's one of the negatives, very few negatives of the Avata, is it makes you not want to fly anything else because of what you can do with it, where you can go with it. It's so freaking reliable. And then I end up getting the Flylens 85, and that is epic. But I have it with the DJI controller, and I do not like the resolution of the controller. I'm trying to get you can't go in like a regular controller and change all the curves and stuff that you want into the controller because the pitch, it's just, as soon as it gets up in the air, it wants to rip. And I want this thing for like epic slow flow and going through some dangerous gaps and bandos and stuff. So I need it to be able to crawl really slow through stuff. So I'm trying to figure out maybe if I just drop my rate all the way down so that thing is just crawling. But that's not what this video is about. But this is done, and I'm very happy with it. It is a super cool looking quad. Plastic or like a injected molded something, pretty durable. I don't see it breaking anytime soon, especially with the foam on it. I didn't put the foam in the back, and I'm not gonna, because usually when I bump into something that's in the front, yeah, if you fall down it could smash, but for the price of the frame and how quickly and easy it is to swap out parts for it, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for like $17 on Amazon. So if it gets destroyed, I'll get another one. It's got a couple piece construction. You have this top plate here that has got your motor mounts and stuff attached to it, and then it pushes into this whole outer ring that is all one piece. And then on the bottom, you have the one plate that it screws into, and there's some standoffs that go through, and that's how this plate is attached. And that's pretty much it. So you have a huge, under the hood, so to speak, room to mount all of your electronics. I suppose if you modified the standoffs, you could probably do an O3 air unit in there, especially a naked one. You could do the flight controller much closer up top, and I could do that if I didn't have the receiver. I could move the receiver. I could probably have wiggled it underneath the VTX and then ran the antenna along the edge or something. But I think you could get a naked one in there. So there's plenty of room. And then modify. You could probably tweak this or 3D print something to make some arms that came off of here to hold your air unit. And then it would eliminate the weight of the camera. That'd be a curious. Makes me think now. This is definitely, like I said, one of my favorite flyers for the shots I've gotten with it and the places that I've been able to go through its process. It's just epic flyer that I trust. Going over water, going through... There's this crazy place that my buddy Gordon has taken us to a couple times that's got freaking crazy, huge, prehistoric-looking rocks with cutouts in them. And we were diving through these little cutouts, and then we were following the rapids of the waterfall under and through trees and stuff. And it's solid, absolutely solid for an analog build. I absolutely love it. I fly Spectrum, have from the beginning, and I just found ease of use for it. That's why I haven't switched. And the technology for like ERLS and all that stuff, I think is past me, and I'm just too old to figure it out. And too many updates and stuff like that. But it would make it better for giving me the range that I want if I wanted to switch and not use that. But man, my nose is stuffy. But this is Pearl. This is Pearl in its last transformation. This is how it's going to sit and fly. And I'm going to try to get some footage because we got some snow today. I think there's some more coming this weekend. Leave the Avata in the house. Leave the fly lens on the table. And break out this guy. Go back to my roots where I started with analog and getting those shots. And it's funny. One of the comments that I've had made to me is like, you're doing this crazy shot. You got this crazy line. I can't believe you did that flying with the Avata. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, I did all of these crazy things with analog and not being able to necessarily see the tree branches and just trusting in my lines and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? I got to get back to that because that's the skill that honed in and made me confident and make me a great flyer was these things. I can't rely on all those other things, although having the HD, and I'm not talking about its stabilization and its GPS, any of that doesn't help me other than when I need to come home. It just, these fly better than the Avata in many ways because you're not restricted by the sensors and getting too close to the ground. You can't. That's it pisses me off. I wish you could shut the sensors off. You know, if let's say you got a tree branch, like my arm's the tree branch, and you're coming in higher and you want to drop down and get underneath that tree branch and just skim. You can't do it with the Avata unless you're in acro and you're not going to, or M mode, and you're not going to get that smoothness in that shot. It doesn't let you do it. It kills me. With these guys all day long, some of the dumb, crazy shit over water I've done because just I'm trusting in the resolution of the thumb for the throttle and just get and go where you need to. Always love that. It just sucks, especially with my aging eyes because I'm no spring chicken anymore, being able to see. So that's why I ended up getting the fly lens. So it's a version of this just with HD. So I can see what I need to see to get the shots. I just need to be able to trust in the sticks, and I'm not there yet with it. So that's something I got to work on. And I got the basement and the rest of the winter. Plenty of obstacles in the basement to just work on going really slow and seeing if I can trust what I need to get through like I do with these guys. But I'll leave you on that. I don't want to hold you up anymore. What do you think? Is it a cool frame? Is it something you would rock for a small build? And again, you could rock this with a 3S, 4S. I think Budget took the Happy Model Sin 8 guts, and that's what he's rocking in here. And that would be a perfect swap over because that other frame, as cool as it is being partially 3D printed, it doesn't hold up to much abuse. And it's pain in the ass getting. I don't think you can get parts for it anymore. Where I think you'd shave off some pounds, ounces, grams, whatever it is, and going onto this frame would be a genius idea. So if you have a Happy Model Sin 8 and you're looking for a new frame, that would be a pretty painless swap over. I think this would be cool. The VTX would be perfect down in the bottom here. That's exactly what I bet you that's the way it's originally set up for. But anyway, thanks for watching. Share your thoughts. Hope you're all doing well. Get through this winter so we can get some springtime coming because I'm done with the winter. Peace!